Alright, welcome back to Sunnyside Speed Shop, and in this episode we're going to get these radiator hoses figured out, get my belts all hooked up, get this thing going. Check it out. We're already off to a rocky start. I forgot the SD card to my camera, so while I was waiting for Best Buy to open, I did this. Got my lower radiator hose figured out. I was fighting with that a little bit, and then now I gotta figure out my upper hose. Got a whole pile of hoses here to see which one's gonna work. And then get this power steering pump pulley installed, so maybe I'll do that first and then we'll mess with the hoses. Alright, this is the tool to install the power steering pump pulley if no one's ever seen one. They're pretty easy to install, a little bit harder to take off, but not that bad if you got the right tool. So, need to get that pulley on that pump. Let's do it. This pump shaft has got a little rust on it, so I'm just going to give it a quick little. Look at that, brand new. Alright, grab a couple of wrenches. Alright, power steering pump pulley on. Let's check this belt length. This belt looks too long. Yep, if I could just get it on like that, it's too long. Let's see here. Probably need about an inch shorter than that. Get a whole full thumb in there. Well, back to the auto parts store, I guess. It's the joys of doing LS swaps. Trying to figure out what's what. Alright, that ain't gonna work. What about these this upper radiator hose here? That's a lower hose. That ain't gonna work. That's another lower hose that didn't work. Huh. I think I might be able to make this one work. I'm going to run this coupler in line because that gives me a place to put my steam port for an LS, which you need, but you kind of don't need. The steam port's job is to keep air bubbles out of the cooling system. So if you fill your cooling system and ensure that you don't have any bubbles in it, you can just delete it, which is what I've done on LS swaps in the past, but this is easy, makes it more serviceable. Awesome. Look at that. Easy. That worked out really, really good. I can actually slide this over a little bit more if I want to. Man. Piece of cake. That. Now I can hook up this steam port to this steam port line. Alright, get a hose clamp for the thing. Alright, not bad. Let's get a couple of hose clamps on these. so much easier to figure out your upper radiator hose when you're running a coupler, because then, like, you know, it's easy. As you can see, all I needed was like the 290s and it's done. I don't have to worry about it being clocked in the correct position. I don't have to worry about it being the exact length. It's just easy, but it doesn't look as good. You got an extra couple of clamps, but whatever, it's all good. Okay, before I go too nuts, hook up my steam line. Cut just a little bit off of this. All right, on LS motors, since the thermostat is at the bottom, you can't just fill your radiator and fill the engine. You'll fill the radiator, it'll hit that thermostat and just stop, so then your engine's got no coolant in it. The other time I was up here, I actually filled this partially with coolant, at least, you know, halfway, so that way I can run it for a little while without worrying about overheating. Now I need to fill it up the rest of the way. So. And with the steam port hooked up, as the coolant fills the block and comes to the top, it'll push that air out through the steam port and back up to here, so you'll get all the air out of the engine. Well, now is when I remember that I left my coolant port on the head open and it's just leaking everywhere. So I got to plug that off before I finish filling the block. That's where your coolant temp sensor would go usually. So let me put a plug in there. All right, that was a mess. Wrong belt. Coolant leaking all over the place. It's a new day. And I got a new belt. Got a belt here that actually fits, thankfully. Awesome. We were leaking coolant all over the place last time. I got some gauges here to install with the appropriate LS adapter fitting so I can get into that head. So I can block off that leak, put a gauge in it, fill it up with coolant, and see what happens. So, yeah, I think I want to concentrate on that. I'm going to pull this inner fender well out, mount that tack module to the firewall, drill a hole for my wiring to go through the firewall, and get this thing buttoned up, man. I want to drive this thing in a couple of weeks. Let's get going. All right. Mount that right there. Alright, just like that. Mounted. Alright, well, I got the fin or fender well off. I should also drill a hole in this firewall so I can run my wiring through for the gauges, the fuel pump, everything else. Use one of these dimples that's already here. So those dimples are for factory holes. Is that big enough for my grommet? Oh, perfect. Perfect, perfect. Oh, of course, I looped it around another wire. Thankfully, this thing unplugs. always use a grommet when you're going through a firewall, anything metal, so that you don't rub through and destroy your wires. Alright, moving on into the interior. I figure out where I want to mount these gauges. Typically people just put them kind of in the center of the dash, and I think I'm going to do the same thing. Maybe a little off center. Maybe center this voltage gauge with the ashtray, so I don't have to look too far away from the steering wheel when I'm driving. Straight down. Looks good enough. Get these things mounted up so I can start hooking up the senders and fill this coolant. Fill this block the rest of the way with coolant. All right, let's go here. Boom, gauge is installed, kinda. I gotta find out where I want to punch a hole in this firewall to run the sending unit. Well, these are mechanical gauges, so it's not a sending unit, but you know what I mean. Let's figure this out. Alright, got my hole drilled. Now I'm trying to get this stupid thing through this grommet. One of the things that sucks about running mechanical gauges, you have to run this big fitting through the firewall. I try to go electric whenever possible, but my budget on this car made me get mechanical gauges, and I'm probably going to hate them and have to upgrade to electrical anyway and spend my money again, because that's how I roll. Alright, here's the adapter from ICT billet. It looks kind of silly because how long it is, but it needs to be that long for this lead. So make sure the sealing washer is on there. Go ahead and install it back here. Dug through my toolbox, just happened to have the right size wrench for this thing. That's a joke. You don't want to really over torque these things because you can break them off pretty easy. Just a little snug. Alright, now this lead can go in there. Alright, once again on LS motors, since the thermostat is at the bottom, if you fill the radiator, you're not filling the engine, because it fills the radiator, it'll hit that thermostat and just stop. There is a little breather hole in the thermostat, so it'll eventually go down, but it'll take forever to fill. So best is just to pull your top hose and fill it from here. Now if you have like a regular LS equipped vehicle, like a truck or something like that, there is no radiator cap. The radiator cap is actually like on the overflow, and the overflow has like a bypass that goes into where the heater hose goes, so that you can fill it from that tank and it'll fill everything. But when you're doing an LS swap like this, it's best to pull your top hose and fill it this way. Well, now I can just fill the radiator like usual. Alright, got another adapter fitting here from ICT billet. So I can run an AN high pressure line for my power steering. I bought a line from them too, but I don't know if it's going to be the right size yet. I went off of a recommendation from a friend, the one that he used for his car. So hopefully it works on mine. I have the adapter fitting for the power steering pump side. Before I open that brand new hose and find out it's the wrong size and can't return it, let me check with this. Oh yeah, it's only like 10 inches from here to here, and that's a 12-inch hose. Sweet, let me go unwrap that thing. Hooks up to the power steering pump there, comes down, it's a very rigid line. So it's actually gonna work best to run there 90. It's probably why it comes with the kit, duh. Alright, well I'm here, might as well keep on rocking and rolling. Let's get a steering column installed. I can't drive this thing without a steering column. Oh, come on. Come on. Not bad. See, the gauge is good. Yeah, cool. All right. All right, now the steering column's installed, now I can start thinking about hooking up this shifter linkage. So that's gonna be fun. Got my kit here. It's a universal kit. This is for the trans. This is the rod that connects the two. I hope it's long enough, and everything else. So let's see what happens. All right, got the rod installed back here. Couldn't get a really good camera angle of me installing it. It's just so tight back here. Put a little bend on that rod too. Just put it over my knee and kind of bent it a little bit. And that rod comes down. It's gonna hook up to this. And then shift through the gears. Now this kit's supposed to come with a special nut that extends inside of this hollow tube to tighten it down. Special nut is supposed to go inside of this so it can tighten down properly. It's supposed to come with one standard, one metric. It came with two standard, so that sucks. So I think I have a few extra ones at home from other kits that I bought in the past, but I can get a few threads on here of the original nut just to get me going. Not ideal, but it'll help. I'll be able to adjust it and figure it out for now. Mark that so I can cut it. Alright, all hooked up. Let's go in the car and see what happens. Alright, that's in park, reverse, neutral, drive, 3, 2, 1. Nice, I get all the gears. There it is, hooked up. Got my little bend in it going down to the trans there. Sweet. Now all I need is brakes and I can drive this. Alright, let's start this thing up now that I got gauges. Alright, oil pressure, that's always good. Now I can let it run and let all the oil and everything burn off the exhaust, let it smoke out. Alright, we're getting up to temp. Oil pressure is going down as it heats up. Kind of low for my liking. But I blew a radiator hose because I'm an idiot and I forgot to tighten the clamp, and I got coolant everywhere. So I refilled it. And I'm letting it run, letting it burn off. But I'm hearing a weird noise coming from this thing. Sounds like a knock every once in a while. I don't know if you can hear it on the camera. It's like very intermittent. I don't know what it is. appears that my rear main seal is leaking. See that oil dripping. Alright, so I realized that my map sensor came disconnected somehow. I guess I'm gonna have to put a couple of little clamps on there. I hooked it back up and that weird knocking noise stopped. And to be clear, the knocking noise I was hearing sounded like a ping. Like when your engine's you're going up a hill and it's pinging because it doesn't have enough high enough octane. So I wonder if having that map sensor disconnected was part of my issue, because that noise went away now. And now I got a squeaky belt because I got coolant all over it, and I'm still leaking oil from my rear main seal, so I still got issues here. I'm still bummed. And actually, no more smoke out of the exhaust. I wonder what the map sensor disconnected. It was running richer than it should have been. It seems to be running pretty good right now. We're getting close to 220 on the temperature, so I'm going to turn this thing off because I don't have a cooling fan hooked up yet. Alright, so stoked about a few things. Runs pretty good. Got gauges hooked up, got a shifter hooked up, got power steering hooked up, all awesome things. And then not so awesome, rear main seal appears to be leaking. That sucks, because now I either got to pull the engine or drop the transmission to access that. Maybe I'll get lucky and I'll find that it's coming from like the crank position sensor or somewhere else, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like it's coming from behind, so it's like the rear main or something like that, which blows. I'm not looking forward to that. Blew a coolant hose, coolant everywhere. Now the ground is all wet and I can't lay underneath it and work on it anymore until it dries. So a couple highs, couple lows. I think I'm gonna cut the video here. I'm done. I'm kind of over this thing today. I got a lot done. Got my hoses, got my belts, got power steering hooked up, got all this stuff done. But I'm just not motivated anymore after those couple mishaps. So I'm gonna cut it here. Next time we'll come back, we'll knock out all these brake lines, get this thing done. I want to get this car home. I'm tired of driving all the way up here to work on it. So stay tuned. We'll get it done. We'll drive this thing home. Thanks a lot for watching.